The Hash It Out Show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Black Hawk Hauling, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, Wags Food and Culture, Moe's Pizza, The Green Law Firm, Personal Injury Attorney, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. 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 Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
What's going on, folks? BK Jones here tonight, and we're here tonight on the Hash It Out Show right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And I'm taking over the hosting role tonight for Jared JB Boyd. He had some personal business to take care of tonight, so I'm gonna be running the rears of steel tonight for this show. And we got a lot going on as we're closing out Legends Month here on the Hash It Out Show. We got some real good guests tonight. At 8:15, we will have former LSU Tiger and Old Prairie Walker Charger Anthony the Freak Johnson joining us at 8:15. But we're going to have our first guest coming up here. But before we introduce him, can't do this alone. We got my partner in crime here, my co-host, Mr. George Peppers. Good
Good evening,
evening.
VK, and it's good to be back. I mean, we were a little sabbatical-wise last week, but it was an advantage for you and I to take. We were in reference to football season upcoming, and obviously we're going to close out Legends Month with two outstanding legends, and we get to talk to. It's going to be fun. It's been great, but then it segues into previews next week. We start getting you ready for the football season, and we're going to mention something in a little while. After we get our guests done, we'll do a little something special, and of course, we'll talk Olympics too. But we were hit with a gut punch, but we'll talk about that later on tonight. But let's get started, VK. I'm looking forward to interviewing both our guests.
Absolutely. Our first guest tonight for Legends Month. I'll tell you one thing, this guy right here, he was unbelievable for the St. Augustine Purple Knights. He was an all-state defensive lineman. He was a member of the 1999 state semifinal team, which came up a little short against West Monroe, but he was off the charts on a very, very good team. He wound up going to the University of Florida and also I believe the University of Memphis. Hopefully I got that right, Mr. McGrew, but at the same time, he had a good college career and a nice little stint in the NFL as well. But he's doing his family thing, doing his family life, and then some. But our guest tonight, Sylvester McGrew. What's going on, Sylvester?
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's good to Good to have you on our show and everything. We definitely appreciate the time to join us. But let's go ahead and get into it first. First question, man. What made you play the game of football?
Honestly, my father, man, he played at West Jeff, played for Tulane Green Wave, played stint with the Giants and the Packers. Uh, Honestly, just hereditary, man. I got an uncle that played at West Jeff, also played for Tulane. My father's brother. Then on my mother's side, I had a couple uncles played high level football. So just genetically, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. It chose me. Let's put it that way.
I definitely understand, sir. Definitely understand. Um, I tell you, man, you made a huge impact. What it was with your dad made you go the route of, instead of following me at my alma mater, sending him to 2600 AP Turo to get his education, but not just that, to play football for St. Augustine.
Well, before I transferred to St. Augustine, I was at Fisher down in Lafitte, and that's where my mom's from, mom's hometown, and 2A ball. And I was getting a little exposure, but big fish in a little pond, and wanted to test my skills a little bit. So decided to move 5A. At the time, we was living in the back of Manhattan, and John Eric was in a running, and my pops was like, "Man, they testing and saying, oh, let's go take a chance, see what's going on." And got there, enjoyed the environment, met the coaches, the guys, and that was history from there.
You stepped in immediately more than anything else, especially under Coach Tony Villegas. And I tell you, man, you starting for, I believe, 3 years at St. made a huge impact, especially a big turnaround for St. Augustine at the time. They went through a couple of lean years, but yourself, Michael Franklin, Jason Burns, Lawrence Fortuna, Von Guter, unbelievable talent. And y'all at the time was young, but that year before that 99, y'all made a huge turnaround.
Yeah, we had a lot of leadership though. Edgar Algeray, Eddie Green, um, Honore. We had AJ, offensive lineman, Big Desmond. Like I said, we had a lot of guys, a lot of leadership. Then the coaches themselves, they preached the brotherhood, and they was raising young men. They was raising men, and young men was raising younger men, and we bit into what they were selling, and it was a good product. You know what I mean? And I just carried on the tradition of St. Aug and the brotherhood. And once everybody started believing, man, it was a beautiful thing.
Interesting, you mentioned two names I actually played with a little bit before I left at St. Aug, Edgar Algeray and also AJ. But it amazing what AJ worked hard to get where he needed to be, and those two guys, I mean, they really worked hard, and the leadership really got things together for you guys. And I know, that season you got to the playoffs and you stunned Archbishop Rummel. You took down Rummel, and that was St. Hawk's first win against Rummel in over 12 years. What
Yeah,
was
that
the
was a.
feeling when you guys?
I'm sorry, I lost you. What you said?
Okay, now
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was saying that you know, 12 years and everything.
Man, it was a great feeling because believe it or not, the head coach at Rummel was one of my former coach at Fisher, or Mark Martin. And well, he wasn't a head coach, but he was a coach there at the time. And it was kind of bittersweet because he was one of those guys when I was young that kind of coached me up, just getting me to St. Aug, believe it or not. And he was the first guy to congratulate me, also. But when we lost in district, he was the first guy to grab me. Also, when they beat us at district, then we beat them in the playoffs. So it was a crazy feeling, man. I had a lot of emotions, and I was honestly my whole entire high school career. That was one of the toughest O lines I played against. Truth be told, man, them some mean guys.
They're very, very tough indeed. They always tough every year. J. Raw done a great job turning
Yeah.
around that program and everything else. And the momentum came into next season. You blazing took a couple at the same time. Y'all built from there and went on the run y'all went on.
Yes, sir.
So at that time, that particular moment more than anything else, how you had to really turn your game up more than anything else, especially going in your senior year and especially leading a very, very good St. Aug defense.
Man, honestly, I had to start believing in myself because I got compared. I'm sorry, I'm at work, fellas. Hold, let me turn that radio down. But I got I got compared to my father a lot in high school, his career, and it was more motivation, just wanting to make my own name, and that boosted it. Then the media kind of makes you play better when they start paying attention to you a little more, and you start seeing your name a little more. And believe it or not, they give you an extra little spark. And then, be honest with you, just genetics. I started losing weight and getting in better shape and actually taking it serious. Scholarship offers started coming in, and really started focusing. Like I said, just maturity, truthfully, physically and mentally. And like I said, just buying into the brotherhood that helped turn it all the way up. You know.
How was leading that defensive line, especially yourself and also Perry Davis. I mean, y'all just was y'all was a straight wrecking crew on the line. The whole line, especially,
Yeah,
it was really
we had some
amazing.
bad.
And I'll tell you,
Yeah,
the one game that really showed a lot with your defense, especially how good. And it was too bad y'all came up short in that game, but I really thought y'all was going to win that game. Was against John Curtis, and how y'all just was wrecking shop on a JT Curtis offense, especially in the second half. And I
yeah,
and there's very few times that you see John Curtis being dismantled the way they were in that game. It was unbelievable how they came back to win it. But at the same time, y'all, the only other time I see Oper Walker, I'm sorry, a John Curtis offense getting dismantled was Oper Walker in those big 2 years that they had.
yeah. We had a lot of preparation. Though those coaches did a damn good job. Excuse my French, but they did a good job, man. I mean, we watch film every day after practice, before practice, and we just learned our keys, man. And everybody bit into what they were selling once again, and we focused. And it was a pride thing. I mean, our defense took pride. We had Coach Ozo, Coach Jaluk, Coach Payne, Coach Biegas, and then it was a pride thing. They fed it to us and they instilled it in us, and we just felt like we was the best. So that's how we showed up every day. That's how we practice every day. I mean, our scout team, we had what Jacoby Jones. He was young, rest in peace. He was a freshman, sophomore. He was on our scout team. That's the type of guys we had to chase around every day, you know. So we was practicing against the best. Even when we was going against, there was rotating the running backs. We had Ben Jarvis Green, Mike Frank, those type of guys coming through in practice. I mean, Nat Dorsey on the O line. Me and Nat had to fight every day. I mean that was like playing in a college game every day at practice, you know. So uh, we had Brian Harris on the O line, big Paul Irons, so Big Perry fighting every day. We had Doucette, another D1 athlete. Our DBs was going against Brandon Smith, Akeem Jolly, rest in peace. I mean, we would start studying. So every day we lined up just in drills. We was going against the best. And that you can't buy that, you know. That's just life experience right there. That's a beautiful thing.
Very much agree. Very much agree. Coach Big is definitely my guy. He was my coach when I played at St. Aug and everything else, and Coach Ozo as well. I mean, Coach Payne, very good people.
Yeah, Coach Bell. That was my defensive line coach, and man, that was some good guys, some real good guys, man. And they didn't just look at us as players, you know, they treated us as sons. So it was, man, just a beautiful time to be at St. Aug. I tell you that.
Before I go over the um, all the this and you know you have some huge wins. You Andrew, one of the biggest victories maybe in the history, and all the first for them in the playoffs. So as their first
Yeah,
ever loss at home in the playoffs. So that was a feat in itself because I think St. Aug is like street breakers because I think Leonard Fournette's freshman year they beat Washita and they didn't lose a playoff game at home in 15 years and they ended it. But for you guys to pull that off and all of a sudden you're at home, you got West Monroe. Tell us the experience how it was, and I know it was kind of a hard fought game, but I know that week was critical in itself. But I know you wish that it could have been everything in reverse more than anything else, so y'all can get to the top.
oh yeah. I mean, it was. I don't know. It was crazy. It had a lot of hype around it. You know, and it brought the media into it. Live game. Um, Honestly, they just was better than us physically. They beat us to the punch. It wasn't so. I say that, but they executed better. I'm not gonna say better than us physically. They executed better. I mean, I it's been so long. It's kind of hard to remember, but we had some good battles going on, and guys got worn down. The end of the season, you know, you get in the playoffs. A lot of people playing hurt, things like that, and we were all tough. So a lot of injuries we didn't speak of. We just taped up and kept rolling, and no excuse. But like I said, just that day, they executed better than us. You know, they
That was
executed
a
their assignments. They wanted a little more that day. That's all I could say, really. But that was a heartbreak because I just knew we was gonna get to the dome, and they had some good personal battles though. I go back on YouTube every now and then and watch some games. They had some good personal battles, and you know, life happens.
Yes, yes, and I tell you, man, that West Monroe defense was really, really good. And man, anytime you gun down Michael Franklin not once but twice,
Yeah, they were
I'm
running.
like, oh my goodness, it was really, really crazy. But y'all really had a really good team that year. George Peppers, you're up.
Sylvester McGraw, first of all, thank you for making the time to join us as part of Legends Month. And to close Legends Month with you is great. Thank you for making the time to join us and welcome. I want to start, and I was actually going to start with that ball game against the Rebels of West Monroe because I remember watching that game live, not in person, but watching it on television. And I remember the hype going into that game. Talk about the build up. It was a state semifinal. You guys were hosting it. Talk about your preparation for that ball game. I know you say you don't recollect a lot of the game now because being that it's been so long, but who forgets the hype going in?
Yeah,
That's talk about that, the build up, and really around campus and the alumni and everything, just everything that led to that game. Because I remember being hyped myself as like, man, we got a New Orleans public school that might get to the dome, and then that game happened. But talk about the build over that week going into that ball game.
Oh man, it was tense. It was tense. I mean, we were reminded that the camera was going to be on us. You know, everybody was going to
Yeah,
be watching, and it was tense. But as for preparation, we prepared like any other game. I mean, took it serious. Didn't no letdowns, but they didn't overhype it. As for the team itself, you know, we took them as any other opponent, and I think being so close to that dome, though, just being young kids, the jitters, the actual
Hmm.
realization of what we were about to do uh, when they decided to make it a statewide game, a live game. Uh, I guess when you look back at it, I'm sure it affected us mentally a little bit because we wasn't expecting all that, the
Yeah,
excitement. Uh, I mean, like I said, a lot of the guys on the team pretty much had been offered on some stuff, so it wasn't so much as the scholarship part of it,
no,
but just seeing everybody seeing it, so everybody wanted to play their best, and everybody wanted to, you know, wanted to show out, especially on TV. That was everybody time
absolutely.
playing the fame, time to shine. So,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah, a little jealous.
A little bit, but absolutely. I mean, but the craziest thing is at West Monroe, it felt like a college team watching them come out. They had what 100 plus players and like 20 to 30 coaches. It was like, damn, it looked like y'all were playing UL or Tulane or somebody, not West Monroe. And what was that like? I mean,
Yeah,
just seeing them coming out of the tunnel, it's like, man, how many players do they have up there? Was that a little bit of a
yeah.
culture shock?
Nah, that one didn't, but they did win the mental game. To be honest with you,
Mm,
like
I
they
got
could get kicked out. In the beginning of the game, they took a lot of cheap shots and kind of got us out of our game. And
you.
like
Yeah.
I said, just being a ball player, you start getting competitive, and you kind of start losing focus of what you're trying to accomplish because it becomes
Hmm.
personal. And when playing the game, you can't get personal. You gotta stick to the script. And
Absolutely.
that was one of the things they did do a good job at getting our brains a little bit, rattling us. Like I said, looking back at it now, young kids, they beat us at that
Hmm.
part of mental part of it more so than the physical part of it.
They did. But they did that to a lot of teams. Look, you can't say you're the only ones. I mean, Rummel had it done to them. A couple of teams in Shaw in the Dome in '97, a couple of years prior, they'd had it done to them. And that was losing from ahead that game. Shaw was ahead in that game. And sorry, Jared, I know I hate to bring that up, right, VK? I'm just throwing it out there. But, um, the Rebels, I mean, that they were that team. And I've seen them numerous times. I know, VK, you've seen them a lot. But let's talk about your high school experience. I mean, not just football. I mean, everybody talk, look, all three of us, I mean, you two went to AUG. I went to Eric. I'm a John Eric grad. And I heard you say you were considering Eric when you were living off of Manhattan. What ultimately was, I know you said your dad said, let's take a look at St. Aug. Um, how close was it? It was like, were you ready to go to Aaron, or until your dad said, "Let's go to Og," or how was that process like? Did he nudge you, or did you feel like, you know what, maybe he's right?
Man, honestly, my cousin is Bruce Petty. That's my first cousin, and he was
I know
quarterback.
Bruce well.
So I I kind of wanted to play with Cuzzo, but and my aunt was saying my dad was working offshore at the time, so he was working 30 on, 30 off in Venezuela at the time, and
Mm.
in Africa. And my aunt Gina, she was staying with me and taking care of me while my pops was offshore. And she was one of the factors too. She was like, education wise, which both schools was doing good, but St. Anne was a little more prestige at the time. And it was like, let's just give it a go. And when I got accepted, and was like, let's go with it. Let's just go with it. Let's try it. We felt it was a bigger platform. But at the time, it probably wasn't. I mean, Eric we was what, hand in hand, truthfully, coming out
Yeah,
sports wise. And it just, I don't know, it fit right, man. I went to a workout before I even made the decision, and I bonded with the guys. Never forget, threw up my first day out there, and everybody grabbed and picked me up, carried me to the line. Come on, let's finish up, and it fit. The first day
hmm
that it fit, and from then on, I was locked in. I was Purple Knight, man.
people forget St. Augustine had some dogs on that team, on that particular ball club in '99. Y'all had some dogs. Like,
Yeah.
y'all were looking to eat that year, and y'all did some work. But let's talk about your high school experience. What is your greatest memory athletically at St. Aug? I mean, getting to the state semis against West Monroe could be one, but talk about a personal memory of yours in your football career at St. Augustine. What's your greatest memory that you took away from your time at 2600?
Man, the camaraderie. I'm gonna be honest. The camaraderie, man. The brotherhood was like no other. And I bonded with so many guys, especially from being from the West Bank originally. Craig Kelly, Akeem Jowler, Charles Burbank, and a few others. Apologize for forgetting their names, but I mean, it just was a camaraderie and the joke and just from guys being from different parts of the city and coming together. It was a beautiful thing. That was one of the things athletically. It's crazy. I guess it's not really athletic, but just being a part of a team where everybody just loved everybody, man. It was, and I'm the oldest, so to have brothers and
Well,
older
yeah.
brothers like man, that was a hell of a feeling. Something meeting up
Talk,
before games, on the weekends, like we was always together. And some guys like me and Harold Montgomery, we still before I moved to Lake Charles, we was together damn near every weekend, every other day. Just it's a bond that don't go away. You know.
talk about your recruiting process in your senior year at St. Aug. Take us through that journey and how, just, the peaks and valleys of it. Take us through that and what ultimately led your decision to go where you went.
Man, the recruiting process was crazy, but believe it or not, my freshman year I was offered by Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss, and when I played at Fisher, and then when I transferred, I had to sit out my sophomore year, so a lot of people didn't even know where I was at, and Texas A&M gave me a call, RC Slocum, my sophomore year, just randomly called, just seeing what happened to me because I had a guy on the team I was playing with had a lot of film, and I was on most of his tackles as a freshman and he offered me again. Well, I didn't. How can I put? I didn't keep up with it leading up to my senior year. Like I didn't know if people was looking at me. I just was playing the sport because I was semi decent at it, and let's say good. I just was having fun. It was still innocent then, and I remember I did an interview with Louisiana Football Magazine. Me and Marquise Hill, rest in peace. That summer going into my senior year, and man, the phone calls, the letters, and I started getting way more offers, and it was an experience. But thankfully, my pops been through it. My grandmother went through it with my pops, my aunt, who was taking care of me when my pops was offshore. By that time, my pops had got married, my stepmothers, my mother, everybody had a little taste, so they kept me grounded. I didn't let it get ahead of me.
Hmm.
Sat back, made some decisions, and truthfully, I probably should have signed with LSU instead of going to University of Florida. I always say that, but I want trying to make my own legacy and young, immature decisions. Ultimately the decision was mine, and
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say it was a bad decision because I learned a lot of life lessons, a lot of life lessons, good and
Well,
bad. But yeah, I think I picked the wrong school on that one.
I mean, Steve Spurrier was the coach at Florida, if I remember right at that time, correct?
Yeah, I
I
was a
mean,
class. Class.
X's and O's wise, the guy was an absolute wizard offensively. So, personally, yeah, you could say that, but athletically, Florida was one of the elite schools. LSU was in the mix as well. Um, but let's talk about the state of football and I say the state of the status of the Catholic League. Look, it is a long-standing, great league, one of the best leagues in the state. It figures to be so again this year. But let's play a little compare and contrast to from your era, from your time at Saint Augustine, and to now to where it's at. You look at this how deep that league is with the additions of Etna Carr and of the like. But the depth of the Catholic League has always been no question. What can you say about the state of that league, even now in 2024?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm so confused about the league. I don't know what's going on. And by me living in Lake Charles now, I
Wow,
don't.
I know that.
Yeah, I seldomly keep up with it. Like if I'm home, I'll try to catch a game or whatnot, but I don't pay attention. I got a son right now that's a junior playing up here at Sam Houston, and truthfully, I just kind of focus on him more so than anything. I check the scores for St. Aug weekly, but I I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew what was going on.
I
That's
get it. I love it. Blunt honesty, BK. I love it. I absolutely love it. But my last question before I turn it back over to our host for tonight, the NIL. The national image and likeness has really, really, really changed the landscape of college football, but it's changed the landscape of recruiting to where players are getting these likeness deals. I know what you may say is like, I wish I was in that era when they were, they're dishing that bread out. Hey, look, I don't blame you if you do. I mean, heck, I'd be a fool to say otherwise. But talk about what the NIL has done to recruiting and the fact that we have two signing days and not one. Back in your day in '99, and look, I'm in that age too. I'm 54. Uh, Recruiting signing day in February was the day. Now we got two signing days. Talk about that aspect of how things have changed.
Man, I think that's a good thing. Honestly, give more guys a chance to get recruited.
Mhm.
Um, the NIL deal definitely, because people hear scholarship, but once you get on campus, I mean, we all been there.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're selling lunch cards, and you know how it
Yeah.
is. Ramen noodles. It's a struggle. I mean, introduction to the real world. So I think the NIL deals are great. Um, I think some kids kind of, how can I put it? The recruiting process with it can get a little sticky because you got some people that earn and some people with bigger names that actually get the money and kind of shut down. They figure out I made it. It helps and it hurts, truth be told. Even like the transfer portal. Uh, I feel like for some guys that really just don't have a chance at the schools they went to, not so much as bad decisions, but things happen. I mean, that's just the game, and they want to make a change, and they can change without being penalized instead of having to sit out a year. Like when I transferred to the University of Florida to McNeese, I had to sit out a year or lose eligibility. Well, I had to transfer down in order not to lose a year. And I think that's a good thing. They don't have to lose that year anymore. Um, but I still feel like some guys should stick it out. Like soon things get tough. I notice a lot of guys transfer. That's not the game. You always earned your position. So I'm a little indifferent about it. I can see the good and bad in both of those deals. But yeah, that's where I stand on it.
Sylvester, man, I tell you, you had a nice, decent career in Florida. Things didn't work out the way it did. Tell us about your decision to transfer, and I believe you finished at Tulane, I think, right?
McNeese.
McNeese.
Yeah,
Okay. Because I know you went somewhere after, but I wanted to make sure it was right. I don't know if you was in Memphis. I was wanting to make sure because I know we
yeah,
had a lot of transfer from New Orleans that came through Memphis.
yeah.
But
McNeese
you
State.
McNeese State. So how
Yeah,
how was you made the decision to go to McNeese State and finish your career?
man. When I matter of fact, going to the playoff game in West Monroe, I never forget. We went to watch Shaw and John Air play. A lot of my teammates. And I ran into Coach Gidry. If I'm not mistaken, Coach Gidry at Miami right now. And he was defensive coordinator at McNeese State. I was in the restroom. I never forget this. And I was washing my hands and he walked up on me, scared the hell out of me. And he said, man, look, I know you got a lot of big schools, but if anything ever goes awry and you want to make a transfer, come on back to Louisiana. And he gave me his card. Well, when I went to Florida, I had a good buddy of mine, Rod Royal from Baton Rouge. And he ended up transferring to McNeese State, and we kept in contact. I mean, he was like my big brother, still like a big brother. But he was the guy that took me in once I first got up there. And when he transferred to McNeese State, like I said, we kept in touch. And once Zook came in and things weren't working out, I reached out to him, let him know I was kind of interested in transferring. And he put in a good word for me. Matter of fact, that was the senior year. He was getting ready to get drafted. And they reached out, came down for a visit. It was a good fit. I was back home. My little brother was finishing up his high school career at St. Aug playing basketball under Coach Griff. And just closer to home and family. So I made the transition and it wasn't a bad one. Things didn't work out the way I would have liked leading up to my senior year, just due to immaturity. I just can't blame anybody else. I was immature on some things. I liked the party life at the time, and yeah, school lost a lot of credit hours in the transfer and things like that. So, like I said, life experiences. But it made me the man I am today. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
And you went there to McNeese. I think you finished everything up over there. I think I don't know if you
I played my
graduated.
junior season.
Junior season.
I actually was ineligible my senior season, believe it or
Wow.
not, and that was the end of my football career. Right before Katrina and Rita hit, and
Ooh,
that
ooh.
was my senior season. I found out I was ineligible a week before school. And like I said, that was immaturity, man. That was me running the streets, chasing the women, and just living life, just having a grand old time, like I ain't had business to take care of. And that's one of the things I always preach to my sons, man. You're gonna have time for all that, but stay focused. You gotta stay focused on the prize because it's so easy to slip out your hands.
What you take? I gotta ask you this last question, then we'll close everything out. What you take from your past experiences, especially your experience at St. Augustine, and also now as a man yourself that has his own family and taking care of them and knowing the past is in the past and you're trying to learn the lessons now and teach it to your children. What do you take from your experiences at St. All preparing you for the world, but not just that, all the experiences you had that's now you're trying to teach to your kids?
Man, good and bad. Truthfully, accountability. That's one word. I could sum it all up in one word: accountability. There's actions and reactions. You kind of seal your own fate. The things you do. Sometimes, like I said, it could be a good outcome or bad, but you did it. That you made up your mind to do it. So accountability. Like I said, I took that from Saint Aug. Whenever you did anything good or bad, uh, either come with praise or repercussions. I mean, you did it, and that's something I live with throughout my life, high school, college, and everything. The decisions I made were the decisions I made, so you got to learn to live with them. Don't blame nobody else, and that's one of the biggest things I appreciate my children. You did that, whether it may be good or bad, but you did that. You made up your mind to do it, and whatever happens now, that's something that you have to deal with. Accountability. So, that was one of the biggest things, man. And they taught us to be men over there at St. Aug, and they carried on. They carried on, definitely.
Sylvester McGrew, former St. Augustine Purple Knight, alumni St. Augustine Purple Knight, Florida Gator, and also McNeese Cowboy. Thank you so much for joining us on Legends Month. We appreciate the stories and everything, man. This was unbelievable to have you on, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon to talk some football and everything else. But thank you so much for joining us.
Oh man, appreciate you guys for having me. Thank y'all.
And also, want to give you a lot of props as well as a Purple Knight to another Purple Knight, man. Keep doing what you're
Appreciate
doing and keep up with the good work, man. Because hey, us Purple Knights got to stick together, especially the West Bank Purple Knights, if you know what I mean.
it. Yes, sir. You already know.
All right, Sylvester, thank you so much.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Too.
Sylvester McGrew, former St. Augustine Purple Knight and also Florida Gator and McNeese Cowboy, joining us on Legends Month on the Hash It Out Show. VK Jones and also George Peppers on tonight. Jerry J. B. Boyd had personal business to take care of. We're live on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. And we're live on YouTube. Like, tag, share, and subscribe to the Hash It Out Show on all social media platforms. And coming up soon, we will have Anthony Johnson coming up on Legends Month to close things out. But George, your thoughts on this interview with Sylvester McGrew?
I mean, it's just another man that was on the long list of people we've had this month. A good, very prestigious list. Sylvester was a difference maker at St. Aug, but the thing that I appreciate most, and he has just been the common denominator for everyone we've had this month, the just the blunt honesty, but more so him because he spoke of it a lot in his interview that some of the decision making that he made when it came to personal and professional goals. He was just up front and said, "Look, man, I screwed up. I think I made the wrong decision. I was immature. I was chasing." He basically come out and said, "I messed up." And I appreciate that. Some players would, some athletes would tend to, VK, and you've seen it done, deflect the blame, deflect the responsibility. He chooses to embrace it. And that is very appreciative, especially in our field of journalism, and broadcasting. I am so appreciative of that. And just, it's refreshing to see. And to what he's doing in Lake Charles now, we wish him the best, the best going forward, continued success in every aspect of what he does and in what we call life, as we live it out, because we only get one shot at it. Don't we know? But, and looking forward to talking to our next guest, and he'll be joining us here in a couple of minutes. I've got some questions for him. Oh, man. I mean, Anthony Johnson, the freak. And there's a reason they called him that. Go pull up his tape. Go pull up his tape. If y'all want to know why he got that moniker, and we're going to find out, but go pull up that tape and you'll know and you will understand clearly why. But we can't just, again, about Sylvester, the blunt honesty and the brute honesty. He could have just been deflective. He could have been the typical, the athlete and say, well, it wasn't my fault. I didn't do this. The coaches misled me. Nope. He took that on and he said, you know what? I messed up. And I think I made the wrong decisions. But you know what? He's refreshing in that, and he's changing how he does things now, and he's passing it to his kids, and that's a great thing as a father. And I'm not a father; I can't speak to it, but as a parent, that's very admirable, man. And Sylvester, do you keep doing you and get your kids on that righteous path, and if they're athletically gifted and they have this opportunity, you already know what to do. Your lessons learned will help them go forward.
And he has a son that plays for Sam Houston. So it's very interesting in itself. Hopefully, we'll hear his name soon. So that's going to be really good. I'm very, very proud of that young man. And he's, he made some mistakes, but for him saying about accountability, and that is huge. And I'm a parent myself, but at the same time, not just as a parent, but an adult in this generation, more than anything else, accountability is important. And some people don't understand that. Some people sometimes have too much pride in them to just take charge, and not just take charge, but to take charge of their mistake instead of pointing it out. It tremendously is a pet peeve for me when people just don't take the rep and say, hey, that's my fault. It's my mistake. And just want to keep that pride in them. That's not good at all. But I love it when people take accountability. And that's what you have to teach in this generation, especially for these kids. You have to
Mhm.
teach them that so they can understand what is true accountability and responsibility in life. So that is big, and to be honest, man, Sylvester McGrew, it doesn't matter what he's doing, but you see what he's doing right now, raising his family and everything in Lake Charles, bro. This man is winning in life. That's what I can say right there, man. Anytime, it doesn't matter if you're in the NFL, it doesn't matter if you are in your profession, it doesn't matter as long as you taking care of your business and winning
Mhm.
in life, you winning in everything. You're winning in everything, man. That's how I look at it. But I'm very, very proud of the man he has really become. And we'll have Anthony Johnson in a couple minutes. Next week on the Hash It Out show, while we have you on, next week we are getting into the high school football previews in the state of Louisiana. We're going to have a lot of people coming through from different areas of the state joining us. And started up, we're going to start off on next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we will have Mike Coppage
Oh, okay.
Mike Coppage will join us
Okay.
from out of Scoreboard Live, and he's gonna be covering the Lafayette area. And then next Thursday, we will go into the river parishes. Nick from the Nick Network, Nick Campbell will be joining
Mm.
us on next Thursday covering the river parishes. And we will have other guests coming up. We're gonna cover the Baton Rouge area. We're gonna try what we can to get the Lake Charles area, the North Louisiana
Mhm.
area, and the Central Louisiana area, and also the North Shore, and then we cannot forget the good old
New
city of
Orleans.
New Orleans. We
Yep.
cannot wait. I would not be. We will have somebody from New Orleans representing. Won't be surprised. We might have our
I already
mentor.
got our New Orleans guy, VK. You already know who we're gonna get. Come
Oh
on
yeah,
now.
we're
The
gonna
man, the myth, the legend.
we'll possibly will have the legend Ken Trahan joining us once
Yep.
again.
Oh no. Austin Tyler, you taking shots until August, sir. That's not called for.
You're funny,
Behave,
Austin.
please. Exactly.
Austin
But I
Tyler,
want to
one of
say something about
our
my. I want to say something.
faithful viewers.
I
Go
do
ahead,
want to
Joe.
say something about our first guest next Wednesday, and that is an interview I am absolutely looking forward to. Mike Coppage. He and I, when I moved to Avoyelles Parish in 2010, were part of a show called Let's Talk Sports. And it was hosted by the late, great, they called him John P. He was the voice of Marksville. He recently passed away a few months back. And Mike and I were together. I represented, even though I lived in Avoyelles, I talked New Orleans, and Mike has done an outstanding yeoman's job covering Lafayette and Opelousas and those areas. He has done yeoman's work. Check his stuff out. I'll say this about Mike, VK, and I know you've interviewed him and we've talked to him, but he is a very blunt dude. He will tell you straight away about teams and athletes and who he likes. And when he throws it out there, he's going to back it. He's standing on all 10. He's going to tell you why. And Mike and I, we got into some pretty good debates on the air on that show. Let's Talk Sports. When they gave us the floor, it was like, oh, let's go, man. The political debates had nothing on us. I mean, we went at it, but it was fun stuff. It was never pot shots or none of that. But Mike's a guy I can't wait to talk to next week. And, he's doing a lot of great, great work. And I'm looking forward. And then you talk about Nick Campbell, and I don't know why you had to do the Nickelodeon thing. I,
Because
I'm
here's the
befuddled.
thing. He has something called the Nick Network. That's the name
He
of his site.
does. He does. But you
It
trying to
kind of
put that
reminds
man
me.
in. I don't know, bro. I'm gonna have to address that with Mr. Campbell next week. So that,
It's
and
a good
we'll have
thing.
this. Oh, I'm not saying it's a. Oh no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just, taking a little zinger at that.
I'm like this. His popularity in the river parishes, it might be as big as Nick Cannon. You know what I'm saying? So it's just saying.
Wow, so you wilding out on it, man. I hear you. I mean, just
Yeah.
like Nick Cannon, you talking about wilding out, but no. Look, as we get into August, y'all, we are getting ready to do year 2 of the Hash It Out Show game of the week. We have the games pretty much, I'd say, almost ironclad. VK, about what, 90% ironclad.
Right now,
So
it's about I'm gonna say 60-70%
60.
ironclad, 60-70% because we're working on to at least get the first 2 weeks locked down. So we're
Mm-hmm.
working on that and also working on the other games as well. But good thing you brought that up, George, and I'm gonna bring this up right now to we're still waiting on a guest and we're still gonna be on until we close it out. Um, all viewers out here, all viewers out there who are watching the show on Instagram, YouTube, and on Facebook, we need sponsors. We need sponsors. We're working hard to get them. We got a couple of them right now. We got some commitments from last year coming back on. We'd like to thank y'all for coming back with us. We're trying to get new sponsors, but we have very affordable packages. And all I'm going to tell you, my viewers, if you know any businesses, people who own businesses, managers, get at them, get at everything. We're going to put up the package thing on our social medias so y'all can give it to y'all people that you know that got their own businesses. We're looking at not just regular businesses but independent businesses and everything else. We have very affordable packages. You're going to get a lot of things going, and we start our packages at $150. We start our package $150, and what you're seeing right here, the ticker, and what we do in the beginning of the show, that's going to be your business. And we're going to do the same thing for our game of the week. And we also going to run maybe your commercials if you have them. We'll even talk about your specials, any important notes you have for your business. We will put it on the air for you. So trust me, we're gonna need your help. We're gonna put our sponsorship. If it's not tonight, we'll put it out this week. Pass it to some people who has businesses, independent businesses, or managers at regular businesses, we need sponsors. We have a month to go before the season, and we hoping to get some great sponsorships. We working together. We work together with, like I said, we always have good viewership each week on the show. We're gonna have bigger. We had some great viewership last year for our broadcast. We were just audio only. This year we're video streaming our games, so the numbers are gonna go up, my friends. So I'm telling you, take advantage of the Hash It Out Show sponsorship opportunities right now. We'll have it. We'll have it up on our social medias. If it's not tonight, it will be this week. But pass it along, man. We got packages starting at $150. So I'm telling you, we won't regret it. We need your help to carry this thing out because I'm telling you, we are about to go on a journey that no man has gone before.
All right, Star
So,
Trek. Okay, Star Trek. Captain Kirk,
yeah,
I hear you. I feel you,
yeah,
my
man.
boy.
Yeah, so
But
I'm telling you, we're looking forward to having a great season with the Hash It Out
mhm.
Show game of the week. But it starts with your viewers. It starts with you guys. You've been great supporting us. Help us out here with the sponsorship.
14 games is what we'll be doing. 10 in the regular season and 4 playoff games. Now, obviously, with contractual issues with the ticket, not really issues. I don't want to say because we're affiliated with the ticket, and they'll do all 8 championship games upcoming in December, and we will partake in that. The three of us, myself, you, VK, and Jared JB Boyd, will all three be in that number for all 3 days. I actually checked the schedule this year, and I'm looking. I didn't see the letter R next to it, so guess who's taking some time? This guy for that weekend. So we're gonna be a part of this the Astrodome Show game of the weekend. Look, the schedule that we have crafted, y'all. I can't wait to announce it. This is like we're waiting to kick that door in and let y'all know where we're gonna be. We got some salty matchups this year, really good matchups. Um, you
Really
know,
good.
state championship contenders littered amongst our games of the week this year. Schools like Shaw, Kennedy, St. James is going to be right there again. St. Charles looking to bounce back after the devastating loss to Calvary Baptist. I mean, Carr, Easton, teams like
Amy,
that. Amy,
Wood,
Kentwood,
and Wood,
young
Wood.
teams last year that are going to be better. Riverside may be on that schedule too. With Dedrick Lashley, look, we are gonna showcase some serious football teams and serious talent. And the one guy that's picked up weight, and then we'll talk about him when we get into his area, is Dedrick Lashley. Remember, he was a buck 35 last year. He's up to a buck 70 now. BK.
Mm.
He's up to a buck 70 now. So he's putting on that good weight. We hope it ain't that punchy stuff, that fattening foods that Louisiana tends to serve. But you know how that goes. You know, more
Well,
jambalayas,
I'm gonna be
rice.
I'm gonna be real. I just gotta see him in person because the thing is, has he gained the weight? And I'm gonna say this: it might not be the fat you're thinking. It might not be that.
It's muscle weight.
That's what I'm saying. If it's muscle weight and
Great.
that's what he needs, oh
Let's
my
go.
goodness. Oh, co-host.
Wait, what?
Oh my God. I ain't gonna lie. Mr. Boyd just hit me up right quick. He said he ate 170. He said to stop it.
I read that a week ago. It's something I read. Now, the less said person is Lying. Then that's another story. Look, we don't like to engage in hyperbole, and unless he's seen him, and I have not since the Superdome. And when we saw him in the Superdome, he looked like, I ain't gonna lie to you, he was a buck 30, buck 35. We saw him, you and I, before the dome in the quarterfinals against St.
Uh,
Martin's.
I'm like this. He's looking like a buck
A
30, a buck
toothpick.
25, one buck 30, soaking wet,
A
and
toothpick.
you can't even tell it
Yeah,
the way
exactly.
he runs on
But
the field. He
man,
is a complete dog in himself. He's a complete
dog. Yeah, big
dog.
dog.
Gotta love Destiny Lashley,
Yes.
man. Gotta love him. And like I said, we're looking forward to having some of these great games coming up on the Hash It Out Show game of the week. Before we still have some time. Hopefully, our second guest, will try to close it out coming in. Uh, let's talk a little bit. let's talk about a little bit of the Summer Olympic Games. And right now we are in week number
Mm.
one of the Olympics. And I mean, a lot of great stuff has been happening. I mean, right now the United States leading in the medal count, and I'll tell you one thing: they have been shining in a lot of sports. You name it, they're doing their thing. There's been some great moments so far in this Olympics. George, can you tell us tell us a moment that has stood out so far in this 2024 Olympics?
I'll give you two. And look, before we start talking about it, to all of you that expect us to talk about the opening ceremony, we're not doing that. This is not a political show. We are a sports show. That is a discussion best left for those. I have my opinion on it, but I'll leave it at that. Now, you talk about the athletics, and that's where the Olympics, the purity of the athletics. I do have a big controversy that I want to mention. I haven't found the name yet, but to me, it's absolutely disgusting. But the two moments I'm going to give you, one, the United States gymnastics team winning the all around gold medal and Simone Biles being a part of that team. But now let's see what she does on the individual apparatuses. And then let's see her try to add to that medal haul. Look, she had a case of the twisties 4 years ago. And I can tell you, between the three of us, it's a vigorous debate about her and what actually happened. I have my position on it, and I guess we'll revisit this when Mr. Boyd joins us next week, because we'll be in week two of the Olympics, and by then the track and
I
field will
want
be
to
kicking
hear
into
what
gear, and
I want to hear
Shakari
what JB
Richardson.
got to say about Simone Biles. I really do
I already know
because
what I already know what he's going to say, and I'm going to
yeah,
leave it
we'll talk
alone.
about it
We're
next week.
gonna
But I'm
touch on it next
curious to
week.
hear what he got to say
But the
because he was a hard critic on her. And
critic,
and after what
but
she did, I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna let you finish more than anything else. I don't mean to interrupt,
mhm,
but I'm gonna say this:
okay,
this right here, what she did, and then on top of that, got hurt and still put it together to help that team win that gold. That
hmm
is redemption in itself right now.
hmm
So I'm happy. I know she's got to still do what she got to do, but I think what she did was her swan song and saying, I am the greatest ever. And I know y'all had a lot of criticism on me last time. There it is. So that's what I thought about that. So, but
okay. Now the other person that we better pay homage to and recognize as potentially one of the goats of her discipline. If you saw the 1500-meter free today, you'll know Katie Ledecky. She won gold. It's not the fact that she won gold; it's her eighth gold medal in her career. But BK, you don't win races in the Olympics by the length of the pool. She did that today in the 1500. She won by the length of the pool. Go back and watch that tape. It's on Peacock if you subscribe to Peacock, and they have every discipline. Look, if you don't get it, I'm telling you, this is a weekend off for me, and you best believe I'm going to be
was
hitting
she
up that
was
one.
she close to
You
breaking
know,
a world record or at least got the Olympic record?
that I actually do not. I think she got the OR. I think she got the Olympic record, but I didn't see the finishing time. I was just so encapsulated by the fact that she won by the margin that she did. Um, and then, look, the United States medal haul is good. They need to pick up the gold medal haul a little bit, though. I mean, they only had four coming into today. They picked up a few more. But I fully expect when we finish in Paris, the United States will win the medal count. You mentioned that, and let's talk about the basketball team. They played South Sudan today, and look, you expected the U.S. to win comfortably today after the first time they played them, in the exhibitions in South Sudan. Let me tell y'all something. You see that African nation? Those dudes are just going out there and saying, you know what, we playing for the name on the front. Forget all that back name jersey nonsense. We're playing for our country. We're going to show you that African basketball has made progress. And you know what? Those kids have done immense work. They came back on Puerto Rico in game one, beat them, and then the United States today. Look, when the U.S. is on VK in men's basketball, you say the rest of the world is caught up. I have not seen it. In these Olympic Games, I have not seen it. Canada has been solid. Serbia, who the U.S. manhandled, is supposed to be a medal contender, and the U.S. made mincemeat out of them. Um, Greece has been a massive disappointment. 0-2. They got beat by the geriatric Spaniards yesterday, 84-77. Spain's a team that's the oldest team in the Olympics. So yeah, Greece has been a disappointment with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They still can make it to the knockouts. They got to beat Australia Friday, and I think it comes down to point differential or some matter of tiebreaker. They got to be one of the best 2/3 teams, but it's gonna be hard to beat the U.S. I'll tell you who's looked a little human though, and I want your opinion. The U.S. women, they against Japan, and yeah, Japan was a little bit gritty, but come on, man. The U.S. is supposed to beat them by 40 to 50 points, and they only won by 16. Nah, I don't know, man. I'm not saying they're vulnerable. I don't think they're vulnerable. I think they'll get it right and win gold. But to me, these Olympics, I'm just fascinated by the stories that we have every 4 years, and I look forward to this. It's my favorite event. And look, yes, I'm partial because I'm Greek, and the Greeks invented the Olympic Games. Okay, I get that, you know, and everything else. But the Olympics are, to me, you're the ultimate fanboy because it's about the country. It's not about the name on the back of the. It's not about the prestige of the name. It's about the prestige of your country and representing your country. And there's a lot more to go. More swimming. Obviously, when the track hits the field, when they hit the track and field, you get to see two LSU grads, Shakari Richardson and Mondo Duplantis. Mondo is a world record holder in the long jump. I think it's the long jump or the triple jump. I forget.
I think
Or is it the
it
high
might be
jump? I think
the.
Mondo. I forget. I'm just, he's so good at a lot of things, but I think that's his specialty. But look, if you're not watching, shame
I
on you. And if you're using what happened on the opening ceremony, I don't know what to tell you. I've got
I'm not
nothing to
worried about
say.
the open ceremony. I think the open ceremony is nice, but I'm not worried about that. Uh, I think the women. I think China give them a lot of credit. They didn't quit, man. They didn't quit at all. They hung
They hung
around and they
around.
fought. They felt like they sent the message and said to the U.S. women's team, "We're gonna make you look human out here today. We're not gonna let you come and walk all over us." And I think that's what they did. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that at all. On the men's side, I think they got it. I still think the world is really catching up with the U.S., but I'm impressed how the first two games. You have to think the game against Serbia was tight early, but then that run late in that second quarter was huge.
It checked out.
That late second
Yep.
quarter run that was huge, and that what got them the win. For them to execute what they're doing, and then against South Sudan to bounce back and to beat them the way they did and give South Sudan credit for continuing to fight in that ball game. The South Sudan is a dangerous team, and they could get in knockouts and they
Get to the
could create some
knockout.
damage. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they got to play Serbia.
That's gonna be a hell of that's gonna,
They got to
that's gonna
play
be a hell of a
Serbia
game. I
next.
really think that might be the biggest game so far in the Olympics. The one team that I think so far it is going to give the US some hell, and that's Canada. Canada is
Yes,
talented
sir.
as all get up. And Shea Gildas Alexander has been playing like an absolute animal in this Olympics so far. So I really like what they
Hmm.
have. It's going to be an unbelievable matchup if the US and Canada hooks up. That is going to be an unbelievable matchup in itself. But I'm impressed at how the US coming together with the chemistry and everything. Kevin Durant is not surprising, but what LeBron James is doing, my God.
And he's pushing 40. Dude, that man is revisiting the fountain of youth and doing serious work. I don't know what his stat line for today was, but coming into the Olympics, he was doing some work. And he had a really good first game against Serbia. And really, Nikola Jokic, they rendered him a non
He
factor in
makes
that
he
game.
makes 40. He makes
Once the
40
U.S.
in
checked out,
December. He's 39 and he is just on.
okay,
I'm like this, bro. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is going to top Michael Jordan. There will never be another Jordan. But for LeBron James, as for what he has done to enhance this game, to go in and take over the NBA, to carry the league the way it is. You, regardless of the fact, I don't care. I don't care. LeBron be the GOAT. LeBron came in there as a born leader. Let's just be real. Kobe Bryant, yeah, he will always be second behind Jordan. Always be. But the reason why he's mostly second besides the titles, because of his clutch gene. He was just a cold-blooded killer. And that's something that kind of LeBron kind of lacks on a bit. But as a basketball savant, 6'8", that cannot just drive and dribble, that can pass the ball, that can shoot it a bit and everything, but doing it at
Mhm.
age that you didn't see that a lot with Jordan when he was older. You see the declination for LeBron, and
Slight, slight, but
it's
yeah.
coming for LeBron, but it's not happening right now. And it's amazing. What is he doing right now at 39 against the world? Man,
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question about LeBron. I'm glad we're going there. We talk about definition of legacy, and LeBron really, you just mentioned he's not going to pass Michael. I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate. I believe Michael's the GOAT. I'll always believe it. But don't you think, with the circumstance that he's 39 pushing 40, right? This is where the body starts to kind of break a little bit, and your energy level starts to wane a little bit. But LeBron is defying all that. Don't you think if he continues to play at that elite level and show you, even with these young studs that are in these games, you mentioned SGA, Dwight Powell's having a night had a good uh, bounce back game. Excuse me, with Canada in game two. I mean, it was a rough game one against Greece. Um, and then Jokic, you got Giannis and all these great players that are on these teams. LeBron, VK, is there a legacy definition in these Olympics if the U.S. wins gold and he's that dude the rest of the way? Does he make the argument more compelling if he wins gold here?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because you have to think he would not be the GOAT in basketball, but I can definitely say if he keeps up with his pace, he'll be definitely maybe one of the top five, top 10, top five athletes of all time. This is ridiculous.
Athlete's a basketball
Basketball
player,
player, no on the GOAT. He'll be maybe a good, maybe him and Kobe might be top a second.
two or three.
Definitely maybe three for
Yeah,
LeBron. If it ain't two, three. But as an overall
easily.
athlete, LeBron will be probably top 10, top five of all time. Because this is ridiculous of what he's doing. Some people gonna be like taking offense. Well, what about dude? No, we talking about athlete. The only type of athlete I see that's as good as him, that's gone beyond that, beyond the years and everything else. You look at maybe a Tom Brady or certain other athletes who has went beyond their years and has done amazing stuff. The good thing about Tom Brady, and thank God, he kept talking about maybe going back, but he's like, nah, that's it. I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm done. And I'm glad he's got to that realization. You know, for LeBron,
Yep.
it's coming. The realization is coming that he's gonna hang it up. And he wants to go all out, play with his son. I mean, have a big moment. First time since what Major League Baseball, you have a father and son playing together. That's history.
hmm Ken Griffey and
And
Griffey Jr., senior and junior play
exactly.
together.
So I really
So,
think you look at it,
you
if
know,
they win gold, he's definitely it's definitely stamps a lot of his legacy. And this is maybe one of the most unique athletes in sports that we probably have ever seen. And it's amazing with him. I've been liking LeBron since he was in high school and everything else. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan because he plays for the Lakers, but regardless of the fact, man,
oh,
I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. If he would
I
have
get
played
it.
for the
I get it.
Knicks, different story. You know what I'm saying?
And the Knicks wouldn't be. Then the Knicks wouldn't be
Oh, the
nicking,
Knicks might
right?
have some titles.
Like
The Knicks might have some titles, rings,
rings.
to be honest.
I know.
So, you know,
Should have had him when Jordan.
exactly.
Should have had him when Michael was
I
around.
just
I mean,
I
dang.
just
You know,
he's one of the most greatest athletes, but not just that most polarizing. He's one of the most polarizing athletes since Iverson. Him and Iverson, and for LeBron, for maybe for the right polarizing for some of the right reasons, and some of the criticisms that's really unwarranted and unwanted. Some of the criticisms, okay, I get it, I see that. But then some is unnecessary. Like, really? A dude that, if you look at his whole, he's been what, 18 years in the league, and you ain't see a report about any police reports, abuse, drugs. You don't see a blemish. How many athletes in the NBA? This is the first time I ever seen it in one athlete. Maybe since a Tim Duncan. That's maybe the last person I've seen had so much of a blemish in the league. So, I tell you, bro, it's gonna be amazing to see what happens going forward. But my big moments, more than anything else, my big moments in the Olympics, I could definitely say for I'm gonna give you two. One is the U.S. men's gymnastics team getting a medal. That is a huge accomplishment. Some people is like, man, they're going a little overboard. It's a bronze medal. They have not got a medal in two Olympics. The men's gymnastics, most of the time in the last 20, 30 years, has been non-existent. The
irrelevant.
women has been running gymnastics for a
Yeah,
long time. The last time we seen the men and the women do well was in 80s. In the
way
80s,
back in the day.
way back. So for
Hmm.
this accomplishment to happen for the men, and including an African American leading them, I'm like this. I love Simone Biles, greatest of all time. But at the same time, seeing a brother lead, do you know how exciting it is for me as a black man to see that? It's too exciting. It's like, oh, look, there is a God. Yes, indeed, Lord. Seeing that. It's amazing. But for what they accomplished, congratulations to the men's gymnastics team. And the other moment that stood out for me, and I have to go outside the US a little bit, the France lacrosse team. No, the France rugby team. The France rugby team. What they accomplished in the gold medal game, beating a team, and I believe it was I'm trying to think, it was China, or I'm gonna make sure I get this right. You know what I'm saying? Because what they did was amazing in itself. Because it was in the, let me see, they played
Was
in the
this
gold
today?
medal game. No, that was on a Saturday. That was on a Saturday, and I mean that was really big what they did. Let's
Hmm.
see.
There is. Okay. While you're looking it up, VK, and
Yes.
I mean, you can keep going, but I
Okay, here we
wanted to
go.
bring up.
Here we go.
Okay.
They beat. Let me make sure I get it right. Let's see. This was the gold medal game here. Oh yeah, that was in, and it went to extra time.
Hmm.
France wound up winning in extra time, beating Fiji for the gold. And get this was monumental, probably one of the biggest moments maybe in Olympic history. Fiji came into the gold medal round undefeated. They have been unbeaten as a team for 4 straight years. They did not lose a game. They came in undefeated. And it was a tight game. Fiji led throughout, and France wound up tying the game, and they went to extras, and a couple of big scores by France. They took the lead and they took charge and wound up winning. Wound up winning the gold. And what a moment for the home country, but maybe one of the biggest upsets ever in Olympic history for a team coming in undefeated and losing. And this
And
moment
the gold
reminded me
medal.
so much, yes, and this reminded me so much of the Paris Olympics where Andy Murray won the gold in Wimbledon. And that right there was a moment. And I was like, my God, because I'm like, there were so many moments that Andy Murray came so close to winning. He won the gold medal, and guess what? The following year, he won Wimbledon. So
Yes.
I tell you, that France win against Fiji was a great moment. I can definitely that really stands out.
It's obviously popular in Paris, consider it's the home nation winning gold in an event that they don't usually succeed in. I do want to mention another U.S. team this is a reclamation project because we thought this would be transitional coming into these Olympics that they may struggle, but how's about the United States women's soccer team? They have put in work. Today, they beat Australia 2-1 to finish the group play undefeated, and they have handled some people in these Olympics. 3-0 and doing work. They are doing serious work, and they've got a chance to really do some. And a little bit of a sad thing in that tournament. One of the goats of soccer was red carded today. Brazil's Marta. She got red carded in the 6th minute of that game.
Wow.
And Brazil lost to Spain, so now they're going to have to sweat out GD, goal differential, to try to advance on into the knockout stages. I don't know if they'll get there. I think they're going to need a lot of help, but it's the ignominious way of her to go out. But for the U.S. women's soccer team, they are really putting this in and undefeated through group play. So hopefully they continue. And it's not going to shock me if they medal or win because they are the United States and they've always been good. But this year, the perception was that they were the most vulnerable they've ever been. And the results before this tournament suggested that very fact. But 3-0, they're doing work and they're doing it really solidly. They pummeled Germany and they beat Australia today to finish undefeated. So we'll see what happens in the knockouts going forward. But lots to watch this weekend, lots to watch the next couple of weeks. And the segue is once the Olympics finish. I mean, for those that care, preseason football. But then that means it gets closer to college football and high school football, and we are going to be knee deep in all of that after the
College
next. So these Olympics,
Right, and college football starts pretty early this year. So
yes, it does.
yeah,
Week zero
exactly.
again.
Week
Is it going to be
zero.
week? Stupid. That is ignorant.
No,
Whoever titled that
no,
song.
no,
Come on,
no,
man. Nah,
no,
bro.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no,
You,
no,
okay,
no,
know what?
no. No.
Stop it.
This is no. This is what you're not gonna do. This is
I'm
what you're
go-
not
I'm
gonna
gonna
do. No,
slaughter
no,
the
no, no, no,
NCAA
no,
for
no,
that.
no, 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 no. This is what you're not gonna do. You're not gonna come in and destroy week zero like that. You're not gonna do that.
Again,
No, because the reason why we're not gonna do that. You have to think about this. Week zero is a big showcase for the FCS. That's a big showcase for the
it is.
FCS. And I'm
But why
sorry.
title it?
I am
Why
not,
title it
I
week
am not,
zero?
because they deserve that shine. They deserve that shine.
I'm
That's
not
what
saying
it
they
is.
don't. I'm
You
not
know,
saying they don't, dude.
the only criticism
The
I have,
title.
the playoffs itself. That's my only criticism. The playoff process itself. That's my only criticism of the FCS. Everything else with it, it's a great playoff aspect. It's a great playoff, but the process of it, of teams getting home games and all that, It's stupid. There's a reason why certain schools like HBCUs go on the road instead of hosting because schools got to put in money to host, to even put up something to present something to the NCAA to convince them, hey, come down here because we'll host it. No, that don't make no sense at all. The FCS needs to get to the FBS, knowing they got the playoff and all that money. Take that money, go get sponsors, and stop that dumbness. And let the sponsors and all that money you got, guess what? Them schools ain't got to spend their money no more. They ain't got to do all that. In the past, I understand. Like the money now that the NCAA has, come on, that could be fixed. That could be really, really, really fixed right now. Because when I heard that, I was shocked. Like, oh my God, y'all have to pay, y'all have to put together presentations for just the host, and knowing that you have a higher seed, you have a better record, you have a big win at this place, you deserve to host the game, not to go travel again. Like, what kind of process is that? Don't make sense. That's the only criticism I have of FCS, but I love it. The playoff games are great, and I love it when they get that chance to shine, especially if then they go against a Division One regular FBS, or they got a great matchup between top 10, top 25 against each other. I totally love it. I remember Jacksonville State taking on North Carolina A&T that year when they went undefeated, and that was a great ball game that A&T pulled that big victory off on the road. So to me, I'll tell you, week zero to me, I love week zero. I don't care what anybody say. You
I
know what I'm
think you
saying?
need to change the title of week zero. I just think you need to make it like Premier Week or something like that. I think week zero makes no sense.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
wording, the verbiage is my problem, not not
verbiage.
the aspect. It's the verbiage. But
Yeah,
I'd say
maybe
this:
they should change it to. Maybe they should change it to FC. Maybe
opening
they should
week.
change it opening week. Just change it to opening week, and then
That's it.
you go week one. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Opening week. Give you a
But
little snack before you beat to.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna reveal who yet, but I have my national championship selection. I have not even told you yet. I came up with this a few nights ago, and the schematics of what they're going to do, what they can be. The presumption is Georgia, Ohio State. There are people that are loving on Texas, and you always respect Bama, even though Nick's not there anymore. Kalen DeBoer is going to show you why that guy can coach. That dude is an elite coach. He did great work in Washington, and you really think he was going to follow Nick and not succeed? He's going to do well, but I have my eyes on another team, and it is not Texas. I think they'll be really straight too, but the team I got, I'll reveal it right now. I'll reveal it. They have a better quarterback than they did last year, and this quarterback last year was drafted 12th in the spring by the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix. Guess who's taking his place? Dylan Gabriel, Oregon. Watch out. That team is going to light up the Big Ten. They've played them before in non conference action, Pac 12, Big 12, Big Ten, meetings. They throttled Michigan. They beat Ohio State. They could do it again. And look, I love my Wolverines. I had my moment last year winning the national championship with my Wolverines. It was fun to see. But Oregon, right now, as of July 31, 2024, is my sleeper pick to win the whole thing. They are
My
going to do some work.
and I'm gonna go with a sleeper myself. And I thought about this a lot. I really think this team, they have been on the come up, and especially in this last 10, 15, it's actually these last 10 years, this program has been making come ups, but the big stage, sometimes they come up short, but they always get so close. It's so close. I think this time they're going to do it. I think this time. And I think they're going to win the conference as well. This is their time. This is gonna happen, and I think this. Some people gonna think I'm crazy. I picked them a couple years ago, and I screwed the pooch. This time, I'm not gonna screw it. This I hope they don't screw with me this time.
Hmm.
My sleeper, the Ole Miss Rebels. The Ole Miss Rebels returning 16 starters, including their quarterback.
Jackson Dart. That dude's a bad boy.
Woo! And they got
That
huge,
dude.
and they got huge matchups at home. It's gonna look like the year them in Mississippi State was running things in the SEC West.
For a hot
That's how
second, yeah.
critical that's how critical that Ole Miss team is going to be. I have them as a sleeper,
For
maybe winning the national
all the
championship, but definitely getting into the playoff. But I think they're going to win the SEC this year. I
for,
really think so.
for all the talk about Jackson Dart, Ole Miss's backfield is going to be devastating. Of course, with the addition of Logan Diggs, and I forget the kid that's there already. That is going to be a devastating combo. That running game that they will bring you, and Lane Kiffin is going to have to manufacture touches and keep that happy medium together. I like Ole Miss's team
And
too. I think
an improving defense as well. They improved
that's
late
the
in the
concern for me.
season. They improved late in the season. And that's the thing. That's the momentum that's coming into this year. That's why I'm believing in Ole Miss. Because when that defense turned up late, oh
Hmm.
God, and the majority of their defense is back. So that's gonna be a better defense this year.
Hmm.
So if that defense sets the tone for Ole Miss, look out. Look out. Because you know they're coming and they're gonna score that ball. So
And
I'm
look,
telling you, you know.
we're a month out, and they're about to get into fall practice, and we'll, obviously a lot can happen between now throughout fall practices. Debilitating injuries, late changes and whatnot. So these are predictions made in. I don't want to say a state of flux. That's not the word I want to use. It's made with. Not, I don't want to say trepidation because it sounds like we got conviction on both ends, but we're
Yeah,
going to take a
I
little
know
bit
it's
of a wait
early.
and see. Yeah, it's a lot early, but we're going to take a wait and see, and hopefully no debilitating injuries. And we don't want to talk about that because that's just not fair to the schools involved. Um, selfishly, would I like to see the Wolverines win it again? But I'll say this: for all the talk about, well, they're going to cede the title to Ohio State. I told you, Oregon is in the Big Ten now, and they've already beaten Big Ten teams on the regular. They've done it. They went into Columbus and popped Ohio State. They went into Ann Arbor and popped Michigan years ago. Not that long ago. They are that. Dan Lanning has a better quarterback. His defense is going to be on the come up, like Ole Miss. They have the same profile as Ole Miss. Defense gets better, and offensively they're going to score a ton. They're going to score a ton. And Lanning is back in a conference where he can employ physicality and teach Oregon, hey, look, let's go knock some teeth out. Let's go rattle some jaws. Buckle up, and let's go rattle some chin straps. Trust that, and we'll see. I mean, it starts in late August. And look, neither of our favorite teams have been in the discussion, but I'm gonna say this: Sharon Moore is gonna do great work at Michigan. I just think it's a little bit of a transitional year for them. They're not gonna disgrace in their defense, but I don't know if they're good enough to beat Texas or Oregon or Ohio State. I think 9-3 isn't the ceiling, but 9-3 is the worst record they'll have. They can swing a couple of those games. We'll see. But college football will be on the come up. But VK, do you want to
Hey, I'm a,
go
I'm a,
ahead?
hey, we we were just about to maybe close things out with a final little moment, but we do have our guest
We
now
do. Okay.
that just came up in here. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go
Mhm.
ahead and just bring it on, bring him on here, and we're gonna try and close things out.
Right,
Our
fellas,
next
how y'all
guest,
doing, man?
that's gonna be. I'm good. I'm good. We're gonna close things out here with our special guest here. This guy, what we're seeing right now, former Au Pair Walker Charger, and also a very unbelievable athlete, played at LSU, very good career. and also nice little stint in the NFL. But you can see him a lot now, you know what I'm saying, into music a lot. You know, he has a great love for music in itself. Our guest, former Old Prairie Walker, Charger, LSU Tiger, Anthony Johnson. How you doing, Anthony? I don't know if his phone went out.
Hmm.
Anthony, hear me? It's like he's frozen for a second. Well, you know, he'll probably log out, log back in. So, you know, 1 second here.
Oh.
Let me make sure I let him know.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. I'm good, big
All
dog. How
right.
you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good, Anthony, man. Good to have you on the show. Appreciate you joining us, man. I got to ask you this first to jump it off. What made you get into the sport of football?
What made me get to the sport of football? Ask him for the one at the front. Let's see. Lawrence Taylor, man. I grew up a big LT fan, and I'll never forget the first time I turned on the football game, and it was the New York Giants, man, and Pepper Jones game that actually made me want to time about game of football.
Wow. Amazing, amazing. I mean, that's some big names for you, man. That's real big time names there.
I'm watching all of those guys, so it was really a no-brainer when I decided to get into the game. And honestly, you know what I wanted to take it on myself. So I kind of grew up watching those big uglies, the guys that kind of reminded me of myself, and everything seemed to follow after that. So yeah, that's how I kind of got. Man.
Well, you're born and raised in the West Bank in the city of Algiers, Louisiana, and you know me and you kind of go way back and everything else, and I gotta tell you, man, what made you go ahead and just you know go to Old Prairie Walker and go ahead and to establish your legacy?
Going to a trainer here. My mentor was a St. Augustine graduate, and too went through Martin Berman. He kind of pushed the St. Aug way on my family. So I did attend St. Augustine Academy before Hurricane Katrina in the 7th grade, and when Katrina hit, that kind of altered things. That made me stay on the West Bank. That kind of made me have choices, and that's when the Edna Cars, the John Curtises, the Brother Mortons, etc., started to pop up at my doorstep. But Coach Skip just made it feel like home, man. My family was familiar with him. Old Prairie Walker was still in the community. It was in Algiers, and I'm actually the only Walker graduate in my family for the LB Landry Buccaneers. So I kind of had to switch it up on my people, but I enjoyed doing that.
Wow, and it was amazing more than anything else when you look at it down the line. You wound up having a merger between Landry Walker and everything else.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting that you was one family for a moment, right?
Yeah, yep. For a while, man. My sister is actually a graduate of Landry Walker. She was in that first class, so she kind of got caught in that mix, man. And I'm happy I missed it, but at the end of the day, it didn't do nothing but build a whole new class of tradition for the community. So.
When you look at your career and Coach Skip Lamont really meant a lot for you and everything else, and especially the coaches over there. I mean, you made an impact quickly. You started as a freshman at
Yes,
Old
sir.
Prairie Walker, and I mean, I was on the sideline covering, and it was amazing talking Coach Skip, and he was like, "It's like," and I looked at your face, and I'm like, "I've seen this guy before." And then he
Yeah.
told me more about you. And on top of that, he was like, "Oh, by the way, he's a freshman."
Yeah.
And my mouth dropped. How was that you made that impact early, and for you to wind up starting as a freshman?
I honestly give credit to my teammates, man. Honestly, the individual things as far as the effort, the hard work I did put in, and honestly, that gave me a push above a lot of my peers. But when it comes to my success early on in my career, the Todd Tollivers, the Sean Doucettes, the coverage guys, the Darren Wilsons, I had a lot of great teammates, man, and they helped put me in position. I was 14 years old. I actually was 13 fresh out of middle school, and I had 22 and a half sacks my freshman year. So it's one of those deals where me personally, I never looked down at a challenge, and I always wanted to challenge myself. I was in middle school at Berman trying to go up against one of the best blue chip offensive linemen in the state, and Alex Williams, when he was at Old Prairie Walker, Big Bill as we know him. So I was fighting every day going against these guys, and I kept telling myself, like, hey, I want to be the best at what I do. So I knew I couldn't half step, and I wanted to stay ready so I didn't have to get ready. So that was my biggest deal.
Your quickness was something else more than anything else. And then I think you started gaining a little more weight, but at the same time, the quickness was still there. And I know you kept saying you wanted to become more stronger and stronger. And it really proved itself and everything else. And you really helped Old Prairie Walker. A lot of success going to the playoffs every year in your career and
Yes, sir.
making all metro, I believe, 3 times. You know what I'm saying? I know you made all district your first year. But
Yes, sir.
no, the other 3, I think you made all Metro. How
Yep.
it was with your impact, especially when you felt like, hey, I need to pick up a little weight, I need to get stronger.
Personally, it was one of those deals, man. The accolades that follow, like I said, the individual things, man, I'm blessed to achieve them. A lot of these guys, when you talk about resumes, they wish they could have my resume. I'm the first defensive lineman ever in the state of Louisiana to win Gatorade Player of the Year. Um, and that's a testament to a lot of defensive linemen that played before me. But the one thing I never did was allow myself to boast. I allowed the accolades, like I said, to boast for themselves. And I personally add all of that to, like I said, Coach Skip, man. I knew that starting off early, the challenge for me was going to be strength because, these guys were already in the game of football. I didn't play park ball growing up. I didn't play middle school ball because I was overweight and things like that. So my first time actually playing contact football, organized football, was in the ninth grade. So my biggest deal was I had to prepare myself, whether that was watching football all day, watching YouTube, watching guys like Warren Sapp, Cortez Kennedy. I watched Reggie White documentaries. I had to continue to put myself in position mentally so that when my time came, I was able to go ahead and dominate. And the added weight, man, that just came with the mindset of I had to be big to play big. And my game didn't slack off. I still averaged 19 sacks in my career when I put the weight on, and it was good for me, man, and I was able to go play in the SEC. So, like I said, it's a testament to Don Cerro, Zulu, all of the guys that helped coach me and put me in position.
You did unbelievable, not just on the field, but off the field as well. I mean, a very good GPA in itself. I mean, I talked with Coach Emmanuel Powell, at the time with Keaton Thompson, and it was amazing. Not just the fact of how great of an athlete he was, but his GPA. And he said the
Yes,
closest person that had as good as a GPA as Keaton Thompson was Anthony Johnson.
yes, sir.
So, you took academics very seriously as well.
Yes, sir. What's crazy is I'm actually about to graduate in December with my undergraduate from LSU in interpersonal communication and psychology. So, like I said, man, I'm adamant about education. It was always something that was huge for me in high school. I never wanted to follow the crowd. I always just wanted to, put myself in the best position possible. So I always felt like there was no such thing as a stupid question. I always sat in front of the class. I read and I raised my hand and I asked teachers for, if they did need help, if they did need anything they need, because participation is half your grade. As long as you're showing people that you're attentive and that you're eager to work, half the battle's already won. Now all you have to do is apply yourself. And like I said, that was kind of my mindset, wanting to stay ahead of the game rather than catch up when things are presented to me. I wanted to be prepared.
You took your talents to Baton Rouge, to LSU, and I tell you, I know the recruit practice was something else. But your time at LSU was interesting, pretty good career more than anything else. And like you was big coming in, but LSU was trying to get you right with the weight program a bit, but at the same time, you still came out there very intense and you really hit the field and made an impact for the Tigers.
Indeed, man. Freshman All American, freshman All SEC my freshman year, and like I said, the individual accolades came because of my teammates. Got my first sack against the SEC game. Like I said, years I had at LSU with the guys to me to fight for a position job, to fight for a roster. Where these high school guys graduating early and going into college, I was kind of the first guy to do that with Frank Wilson, and so that kind of helped out. You see the trend that's following along. You saw the Leonard Fournettes and all these other guys.
George Peppers, you're up.
Anthony Johnson, first off, thank you for being our final guest of Legends Month. And look,
Oh,
I gotta ask, how did you garner the moniker the Freak? Uh-oh, did we lose him, VK?
All right. Okay.
All right.
You hear us? Anthony, you there? You hear us? Okay, go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead, George.
if I hear you, if you can hear me, Anthony, I gotta ask you, man. I mean, I've heard the nickname and I've seen you play. I know what you're about. I've watched you play. I think you're an outstanding talent. You were an outstanding talent in your time. But how did you gain the nickname the Freak? Who gave it to you, and how did it happen?
And that's honestly my favorite story to tell. And rest in peace to honestly one of my favorite humans, one of my favorite coaches, Monty Kiffin. Monty Kiffin, I was committed to the unit. I was actually in high school. I wasn't even committed yet. I was in the 10th grade, going into the 10th grade, and I attended the University of Tennessee's camp for high school. And I ran the
Hmm.
40-yard dash. And when I ran the 40-yard dash, I ran a 4.68 hand time. And I was about 3:05 at the and so they made me
Gee.
run it twice. And the second time I ran like a 4.74, and they showed me both times. So after that, Monty Kiffin called me over. And, I appreciate him for everything he's ever done for me as far as the confidence. He's kind of like a Pete Jenkins guy when it comes to like people in my life. Monty Kiffin looked me dead in my eyes and he said, "Young man, do you know what you just did?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "You're kind of big to be moving that fast. The last guy that was big like that to move that fast was Javon Curse. And do you know what I called him?" I said, "No, sir. What did you call him?" He said, "The Freak." He said, "That's what I'm going to call you from now on." So yeah, he was kind of the first person to stamp me with the nickname the Freak.
Wow. That's amazing in itself, man. I mean, and I always knew you as Anthony. Oh, yeah, we just lost our guest and co-host. This has just been one of them nights, huh? This just been one of them nights, man. Ladies and gentlemen, closing out this Legends Month. You know what I'm saying? We do have Anthony Johnson, our guest tonight, former Perry Walker, Charger and LSU Tiger, and we just had George on there. He just let off there. Now, uh, Anthony Johnson kind of went off this, so I don't know what's going on. Hope JB's still keeping up with things, but we'll continue on right quick. Hopefully they'll pop back up. Okay, George, you can hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. The thing said, "Oops, connection lost." I was like, "Oh, it's just great time to buffer." Beautiful.
Oh
But
man.
where is Anthony? Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. He must be. It must be the same thing that happened to him. I had a little problem early. Luckily, things didn't go out, so I'm just fine.
Yeah,
Hopefully he'll come back. You know.
we hope. But
Yeah,
I'll
go
say
for it.
this: I mean, that story he tells, and look, how could you forget that guy? He was an impactful player in the state of Louisiana at O'Perry Walker, which is now LB Landry. Um,
Well,
with the politicos and all that stuff that's happened with that,
well,
you
well,
know,
well, well. Opera Walker officially closed, and
yeah, the school itself closed.
They were Landry Walker, and then all of a sudden the
Yeah,
merger ended. So
yep.
it's just LB Landry again.
But he went on to LSU and had a heck of a career there. Got a got his time in the NFL. Forget with who was it that drafted him
I know he was with the Patriots at one
for a minute.
time. I know he was with he was with a couple of teams, had a couple stints. The Dolphins, he was with the Dolphins, the Redskins, the Patriots, the New York Jets, the Indianapolis Colts.
Hmm.
He had a little shot in the Alliance of American Football for the Memphis Express, and he even got a little stint in the CFL for the Calgary Stampeders.
Hmm. So he made the rounds, but he had a solid career.
Very solid
What
career,
is that?
and absolutely. And now, he's focused a lot on music, a lot on music. You know what I'm saying? He's been singing since he was singing in church since he was little. And he's been doing some performances in the city. So,
Mhm.
Anthony Johnson, like, he's continued to be active, but at the same time, he loves music and he sticks to it, and he's got a little one and he's winning in life more than anything else. So,
Mhm.
and it's something that you have him on there and talking about the great career he's had and especially at Opera Walker and carried it to LSU and for him to, you know, and for him hearing that he's going to be finally graduating with his undergrad degree, it's a huge congratulations to him. You know what I'm saying? The huge congratulations. And that's what we've been seeing with a lot of guests, you know what I'm saying? A lot of guests had has a lot of guests that came on talking about their past and sometimes some people didn't finish what they started, but all of a sudden it's better late than never. And they get it done more than anything
Mhm.
else. Just go back and finish the job and everything to get everything squared away for their lives going
Yep.
forward. Before we close things out and look like Anthony having a lot of trouble with his connections and stuff like that. Before we end everything,
We owe him a makeup interview, though. We
yeah,
do
we
owe
do,
him that.
we do. Anthony, if you hear us, if you don't get back on or whatever, we will
We'll
do
get you
a
back.
redo with you. We're gonna get you
We
back.
might we might
Trust me.
redo it.
And we'll
We can
maybe
redo it soon.
we will redo it soon. We will talk with JB and
Yeah.
we'll get that confirmed. Hopefully, we'll everything will be better then. But before we close it out tonight, we have to send a special shout out and prayers going to the family of Ed Daniels. Ed Daniels, the New Orleans icon, sports icon, who's been a part of everybody's lives in sports for the last 30 to 40 some years. And he was going into year number what 33 or 34 Friday night
For
football
FNF.
this year for
Yeah,
FNF.
something. I think so.
Well,
And how about the tribute JT Curtis put out for his co-host, and with the rosary they had today at his church in Metairie. But VK Ed has been an integral part of all of our lives, including the two of us. I mean,
yeah,
the relationship we have with him, and look, I'm not going to talk about that man in the past tense at all, and neither should anybody. We are just going to continue to pray for this man. And look, I'll say this: those interviews I do, that when I'm on the tailgaters and it's Derby Day, Preakness Day, or Belmont Day, that man will tell me, and be like, I'm playing for this today. We're playing for this, and I'm like, and the first song that hits my head, and I told him this on a conversation. I said, forget Magic Man, play Under Pressure by David Bowie, and play that song. Freddie Mercury and David Bowie, the collaboration.
oh
Play
yeah,
that
with
one
Queen,
because
yeah,
every time I would get on that train, I would tell there's Kenny's esteemed producer Rudy Dixon, who does a great job producing all of the sports block on the ticket, and I'd be on there with him, and it's like, man, look, when I heard the news became, man, my heart sank. You know, I found out when I got home from work over the weekend, and I called you, and we had a lengthy conversation about, and again, we're very careful not to talk about him in the past at all because he's with us, and God works miracles. I mean, he is in critical condition as the last update is of a few days ago. Um, he did suffer a massive coronary episode out there in California, covering the New Orleans Saints. Um, but again, the tributes have been plentiful. And did
Yes.
you listen to All Access Monday Night, BK, with
I
Ken?
didn't get a chance to, but I need to
I
go.
didn't either, but I'm going to. And man, bro, they are childhood friends. They grew up together, went to Romo get together, went to Loyola together, succeeded in sports broadcasting together. They've won in life in every aspect. And look, and we're praying for you, bro, my friend. And I fully expect a full recovery. And once you shake back, we'll see you at some point this season, whether it be in the Superdome for championship weekend. That would be a win, a huge win to get that man in the Superdome, covering, doing what he loves. That's the goal. Let's pray for his recovery, and when he recovers and gets his health right, we get to see him in the dome, December second weekend.
And I tell you, it was very devastating to me hearing the news and everything about Ed Daniels and stuff like that. I grew up watching Friday Night Football since I was a teenager and everything else. We always talk about the story how the camera got smashed in season
Oh
two of
yeah,
the intro. And I tell you, man, Ed has some great stories, and he's one of the mentors of me in this business, and I always appreciate him and appreciate his candor. I appreciate his honesty very, very much, and I speak life. I speak life tonight to Ed Daniels, and I speak life to Miss Robin, and I speak life to his children. I speak life to that family tonight, and God gonna get you through. God will get you through this. And I'm
yes he
like this:
will.
when God gets you through, take all the time off. It's on you
Exactly.
if you want to. It's on you if you want to come back and get this Friday night football jumping, my brother. But when God heals you and get yourself together, take a little time to get yourself all the way back, and then after that, come on back for the dome if you want to. But we appreciate everything. We appreciate everything. I appreciate everything you have done for me personally. And I speak life tonight, and prayers goes up to the Daniels family that
Yes,
a
sir.
miracle will happen in their lives.
He's had a profound
So
effect on me too. Considering advice he's given. We would talk at luncheons. When Kenny would do the preseason luncheon or the postseason luncheon, we would always we'd have conversations. He and I would have conversations, and he would give me advice. I remember when I undertook the Bell Chase color analyst job in 2009, and that preseason luncheon when we announced it, myself and Johnny Marquise, two people I talked to, and Daniels was one of them. Renee Neto was the other, and I picked their brain for advice. And man, the things that and it's not just that; it's just everything he has said to he has told you and me, and we would share opinions about sports. Heck, when we had Blake Mathern a few weeks ago on the Hash It Out show, I tell the story of myself, Ed, and Emmanuel Peppers on the sideline, the Shaw sideline, and when that play happened, when Blake used every inch of the Superdome turf, myself and Ed looked at each other. And we looked at Emmanuel. Was like, not today. And it's like just how blunt you could be in that moment. It's like, man, it's not happening. I mean, Emmanuel being a Shaw grad and everything else. It's just you appreciate his candor, but his knowledge and his depth of what he knows. There'll be no. I mean, there's, he's You know, I couldn't have said it any better than you just did, BK. And I can't repeat it. I mean, I
Yeah.
can repeat it, but it would be redundant. But you know, my prayers are going out to Ed, his family, to Miss Robin. He's coming back. God's going to put his healing hands on him. His healing hands will be placed upon his heart, upon his soul, and he will rebuild him and make him better, and get him back to his family.
And
And that's
all
all I can say.
and on behalf of the Hash It Out Show, myself, Jared JB Boyd, and George Peppers, we keep the family of Ed Daniels lifted in our prayers, and we hope that God will come through for you. So that is it for the Hash It Out Show for tonight. We'd like to thank our guest, Anthony the Freak Johnson, and Sylvester McGrew, closing out Legends Month. And we'd like to thank all the legends who have came through on Legends Month this month. We will come back with another one. We'll be bigger and better than ever for that Legends Month. But next week, we start our high school previews. So tune in on
Hmm.
Tuesday and Wednesday. We will have Mike Coppage on Wednesday, Nick Campbell on Thursday. So for our leader, Jared J.B. Boyd, George Peppers, I'm VK Jones. Like, tag, share, subscribe to the Hash and Out Show on social media platforms. And we appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. We will see you next week on the Hash It Out Show.